Hey, what is going on, you guys? Admiral Tori here, and welcome aboard for another World of Warships video on my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sailing the Tier 7 American light cruiser, the Atlanta. So, the Atlanta is a ship that I featured in my channel several times, and I never really done a full video about her. The reason why is that I bought the Atlanta because she was probably the most ridiculous American ship that you can play on World of Warships. You might be wondering what makes her ridiculous. Well, it depends on the word ridiculous to several people. It's very subjective and is his opinion for people who define ridiculous in World of Warships. For example, people say that aircraft carriers are ridiculous because they're so powerful that you can't see them, but yet they're able to sink you with torpedoes. Some of the cruiser players think that battleships are ridiculous because they're one-shot citadel across like 19 kilometers. But with the Atlanta, is she ridiculous for the right reasons that people refer as ridiculous? Yes and no. See, here's the thing about the Atlanta. I really love the Atlanta because her capabilities with her performance is that she's really fun to play and dealing with destroyer. That is her strength, is being fun and being able to kill any sort of destroyer. The Atlanta is a really odd ship in World of Warship. To put it in perspective, compared to all the other Tier 7 cruisers like the Pensacola, the Myoko, the York, and of course the Tier 7, I forgot what the Tier 7 Soviet cruiser. I haven't played the Soviet cruisers. I know I've been playing World of Warships for a while, but the Shores, if I pronounce it right, I'm not Russian. Of course, I'm American. That's the most biggest counterpart to any other nations. The opposite of Russia is the United States if you catch the Cold War history. But when it comes to those cruisers, it's clear that I think those cruisers are more competent of being actual cruiser, meaning that you can able to duke it out against battleships. You have the effective firepower to deal with other cruiser-to-cruiser engagement. Atlanta, not necessarily true in certain situation. Mainly in the middle to long range of engagement, the Atlanta will most likely lose. And the reason why is that the Atlanta guns, the shell arc on these guns are pretty bad. And the word bad could mean several degrees. People refer bad as very, very bad. But to me, it's bad, okay? It's bad in terms of a distance. But when you get into the good side of these guns, meaning that the extremely high fire rate, the fast turret traverse speed, and the ridiculous amount of guns, then you realize the Atlanta is not as bad as you think it is. But aside from the guns, I think the guns are the only biggest selling point on the Atlanta. The armor is kind of funky, okay? The Atlanta is one of the easiest ships to actually citadel, and at the same time, she is one of the easiest ships to actually overpen. There's been situations when I play like the Nagato, go against a Atlanta and fire my 16-inch guns and they just overpen the Citadel. I mean, it's mind-blowing. If you're curious why they overpen the Citadel, when you hit the Citadel, you're supposed to get the Citadel damage. The reason is that when armor-piercing shells are loaded, which is the most common shells that you use to Citadel other ships, people who didn't know that you can citadel ship with HE, you can do that. It just depends on the distance, if you're close enough, of course. But armor-piercing shell, the way it works is that there is a detonation or a clock inside of a armor-piercing shell. Not literally, but some kind of fuse. Have you seen like these old Western cannons during the 1800s and 1700s during Revolutionary Wars or the Napoleonic War? They had like fuses where you light the little string and the string will go all the way into the cannon and they shoot the gun. Well, it works. The same idea works with the shell, but not with the gun, okay? Inside the shell, there's like, once you fire the shell, the armor-piercing shell will travel a certain distance, and by the time it hits something, assuming that it actually lodges itself into the ship while going on out the other way, it will detonate inside the ship, and that is how you get citadels. While high explosive, which is kind of self-explanatory, the moment it hits upon impact, the shell will explode. So Atlantas, easy to citadel, but at the same time, it's kind of difficult to citadel if you know how to get away with it. The funny thing is that when I deal with Atlantas, whenever I play cruisers or battleships especially, I find that I citadel Atlantas more easily when they're angle rather than broadside, which is quite funny. But the question is, would you rather get citadel at angle or take a lot of damage for being a big target on the broadside? That is depending on how you want to play the Atlanta. So, in general, I would say that the Atlanta is, yes, she is not a competitive ship. Yes, she is not a ship that is capable of beating a York, a Miyoko, or Pensacola in the case of the American texture line. But no, out of all those ships, the Atlanta will be, out of all those cruisers I listed, she will beat them in one scenario, in one special case that I believe that Atlanta will win in every case scenario, and that is a knife fight. There is no other ships that I love to use with the Atlanta against all the other cruisers that are competing is in a knife fight. And when I say knife fight, we're talking about island to island hopping, close quarter combat. And when it comes to knife fighting against cruisers and destroyers, the Atlanta is a formidable target. And the reason why I say she is formidable is because of her fire rate. Her guns fire at a ridiculous, let's see, they reload at 4.5 seconds, they rotate 180 degrees at 7.2 seconds with a maximum dispersion of 115 meters. And when you think about dispersion doesn't mean crap for the Atlanta because number one, the fire rate is going to be high. Number two, the dispersion, when it comes to dispersion, if you're close to a ship, and like I said, she excels in knife fighting, the Atlanta will just straight up destroy you if she knows what she's doing. Yes, you can actually beat Atlanta in a knife fight, and the only two options you can do that is that if the Atlanta shows a nice flat broadside, or the Atlanta gets torpedoed. But at the end of the day, if you're going against an average player in the Atlanta, there is no way you're going to get out of battle without taking some substantial amount of damage. The Atlanta is a very deadly ship. That's only in the case of a close quarter combat. But the reason why the Atlanta has a really weird performance curve is because the Atlanta isn't designed to be a actual full-on cruiser as we see it from the Cleveland. She is not a battle-capable cruiser in her scenario, but yes, she was used during the battle. During her history, she fought in the Battle of Midway. She fought in the Battle of the Eastern Solomon Islands. She also fought in Guadalcanal, and that was the day when she was sunk. But in terms of her design, her original design, like most American cruisers that they try to do, is that they built these cruisers to be an escort type of ship. While you compare it to the Japanese built their cruisers like what they expect cruisers are, to battle other cruisers. The Atlanta is capable of battling other cruiser in real life, but she was more of a escort cruiser, meaning that when I say escort, she's a supported type of ship. It was the same way as I put it with the Nuremberg. The Nuremberg cannot really get into the battle right away because the Nuremberg is an easily citadel ship. With the Atlanta, you kind of have to play like the Nuremberg, but in the American style, meaning that you're gonna have to island hop a lot. If you catch the historical reference here, but you gotta use the island to its ability in order to put the Atlanta's advantage. Like I said, she has terrible shell arcs, but although their shell arcs are terrible, at least the shell arcs can actually go over the island, meaning that you can hit stationary targets. You can extremely punish battleships if they choose to sit there for a long periods of time, because these guns, although they have a 5% HE fire rate, they can set ships on fire easily if you run the Demolition Expert, and of course if you're able to hit a battleship. But then again, you gotta think about it. You're going against like tier 6 battleships like the New Mexico, the Fuso, the Bayern. You're gonna be at a maximum distance of 13.3 kilometers if you have the advanced fire training equipped on your captain, which means that you're within a battleship range of being really deadly and accurate to get your citadel. So it's a double-edged sword, as you would put it that way. It's a question of, would you get in a position to where you want to do a lot of damage, but at the same time put yourself in a position where you can die? Well, if you don't put yourself in a position that you can't really get damaged, but then again, you can't really die. And the way they compensate with the Atlanta, one great thing about the Atlanta compared to all the other American cruisers, keywords American cruiser, is that she has pretty good concealment for tier 7. If you compare it with the Cleveland, you compare it with the Pensacola, their concealment are nowhere near the Atlanta. So at the end of the day, the story behind Atlanta is really she's just a giant badass cruiser, but should have been like a destroyer at the same time, because she's badass in the sense that she's so special with her guns, but at the same time she kind of plays like a destroyer that is on super steroid with 5-hour energy, and of course they put the highest octane into the ship's engine. It's kind of crazy, right? I know Americans with their philosophy, if the guns are not big enough, okay, the gun's not big enough, you better put a lot of these guns. And for the Atlanta, the guns are considered secondaries that you can find on like a North Carolina or maybe a Iowa. These are secondary type of guns, meaning that these guns are for a supportive role. And the thing that really sticks out for Atlanta compared to any other ships in World of Warships when it comes to the cruiser category, the thing I really love about the Atlanta when it comes to supporting is the undeniable sheer power of her anti-air capabilities. These main armaments are dual purpose, and what it means by dual purpose, some people don't know what dual purpose is that these guns are used for combat, number one, of course, because if you can't use these in combat, then I don't know what the Atlanta will be in World of Warships. But the second purpose for these guns is for anti-air support, and that was the purpose of the Atlanta class light cruiser. They were kind of categorized at one point. They were nicknamed in the sense that some people said that the Atlanta is just a oversized, overweight destroyer with guns on steroid, like I said. And the Atlanta truly is, because her armor is very thin like a destroyer, but the thing is that her speed is not as fast as you expect it to be. Her top speed is 32.5 knots, and if you compare it to, like, let's say, well, I had to change the part, but let's compare it to like a Japanese tier 7 Myoko. Myoko is probably a heavier ship than the Atlanta, but she can reach 35 knots, which is very respectable. And that's one thing about the Japanese cruisers. They're fast, and they have really good concealment. For the Atlanta, is very mediocre speed, but like I said, the concealment makes up for being American standard, because American cruisers in general don't have that great of a concealment, but at least the Atlanta is one of the oddballs, and probably why she is a premium ship is because she just all around very unique. So if you're asking me, should you buy the Atlanta? Well, the Atlanta is not a ship for everybody, for sure. Definitely not a ship for everybody. But if you're looking for a ship that can get your coins, judging from the fact that I have 549,000 XP, if you're looking for a ship that is fun, if you're looking for a ship that destroys destroyers, because destroyers gets their name for being destroyed by Atlantis, right? That's the legend. No, I'm just kidding, guys. My destroyers player probably typing in the chat like, oh my god, this guy's a hater for hating on the destroyers. No, man. I will get to destroyer at some point once the Japanese destroyer comes out and I'm finished with the Bismarck, because I plan on finishing with the Bismarck first, then hop onto the destroyer line, which I can actually get some grounds on the destroyers. I do have destroyers experience, not like I don't have any experience, but with the Atlanta, the thing that I usually comes to mind when it comes to combat, the first thing that comes to your head is to hunt for destroyers. The second thing, that if you can't find the destroyers, follow your battleships, because her anti-air capabilities is off the grid. 79 with these 127mm guns. Yeah, 7.2 kilometers, and these guys do 133 average damage per second. This is comparable to like tier 9 level anti-air. And if you grab something like very troll, if you want to feel like a troll, you grab something like the manual AA with the advanced fire training, which I could do, but I kind of prefer the concealment because I don't really get rewarded as much as I do with attacking another ship. I don't like, in the sense that if I really want to be a support ship, if I'm looking for a ship that was used for a competitive match, I'll probably grab this. But, you know, you don't get reward as much as you do when it comes to damage. So when it comes to shooting down planes, especially when matchmaking doesn't give you planes, you're kind of better off going with the damage build or the combat capabilities of the Atlanta. So yes, you can definitely devastate any carrier, even tier 9. Honestly, tier 9 carriers can't really come close to Atlanta, and especially the Atlantas are pretty small in dimension. So they deal with carriers and they deal with destroyers, the two type of ships that the cruisers and battleships have a hard time with, which is probably why she is a unique ship. But then again, the Atlanta has a hard time against cruisers and battleships, so that is the drawback. So aside from that, let's see what I have running on her when it comes to the upgrade, because you're kind of curious. Totally forgot that, but you should have like steering gear modification. I sold it. I sold the propulsion modification a long time ago. I forgot to buy the steering gear because I was short on money. But you should get the steering gear. You should get the... I find that the steering gets knocked out a lot, probably because I angle a lot with the Atlanta. So whenever I angle, the shell will just randomly hit my steering gears. Run the anti-air for this because, like I said, at close range, it doesn't really matter if you have a smaller dispersion, because you're gonna most likely be accurate, and also it doesn't punish you for having such a short reload time, so you can always put these shells in the air. Completely unnecessary when you have the main battery modification too, because these guns already rotate really fast. For this, you definitely want to get the main armament modification 1. And the reason why is that these guns can easily get knocked out. Remember, these guns are dual purpose. These guns are the one you find on secondaries, and secondaries are weaker than the big battleship main armament guns in terms of their health pool or their armor. So yeah, the Atlanta, in the sense that her capabilities for her guns, they have a lot of guns, but at the same time, they're easily knocked out. They can be knocked out by a destroyer loaded with AP. I faced Russian destroyers that knocked out my gun really easily when they hit my guns with AP, and that is one of the ways you can counter Atlanta. If you ever go against Atlanta, load AP and start hitting their guns, and you knock their guns easily, unless you wish to hit their broadside, which is the #1 target. But if not, if their angle, you're not getting the results as you wanted to get, it's better to disarm a target rather than taking a lot of damage from the target and waiting for that target to show a broadside. So at least you're doing something to stop the Atlanta from doing things. And of course, I think I forgot to talk about the torpedoes. The torpedoes are pitiful, 4.5 kilometers. These are only used if you're against a battleship and he just happens to be oblivious around the corner, or you're just some kind of American ninja who happens to be waiting for a very long time. So, like I said, the role of the Atlanta is to hunt for destroyers when it's clear to do so, because just because you know that the destroyer is over there, doesn't mean that you can just go into the battle and expect to get results, because you're going to be the center target easily. Everybody knows that it's really easy to kill Atlantas, so it's a natural tendency or disposition for people to actually focus fire Atlantas, because they can be obliterated within literally 10 seconds if you make the wrong move. So make sure it's clear, go for destroyers. If not, stick with your fleet, because like I said, you're really squishy with Atlanta, but your guns are like secondaries. So if you can stick to a battleship, and the battleship's like engaging another ship, with your concealment, once you're within range, your concealment should drop by the time you hit the range of your guns, because the concealment is 10.7 kilometers and 13.3 kilometers with your gun, so you can stealth fire for a split second, not like literally continue firing while your concealment is low, but you can work with 3 kilometers distance without being spotted before you can fire your guns for being completely spotted. So yeah, you kind of have to treat yourself like a secondary type of ship. So it's best to escort your teammate ship rather than go alone, but there's cases where you want to do solo operation, like take the flag, or you're in a position where your fleet goes to a wide open ocean and you know for a fact that you can't really do much in the wide open ocean, which is one of the greatest weak spot for being a situational ship. So you're better off going with solo operation. Maybe grab a flag by yourself, or go to a part of the map that is very well known for having destroyers lurking around corners. So without further ado, let's get in the game with the Atlanta. Alright you guys, we're in the game, and I am playing on a map called Trap. Domination. It's actually one of my favorite maps to play. Well, depending on the situation, sometimes you can get really salty and sour games. But we're going against a tier 8 Lexington, which is always nice because, like I said, the anti-air on this ship is ridiculous. 4 battleships, 3 cruisers, and a lot of destroyers. So this seems to be a Atlanta type of game. So the thing I want to do right now is try to figure out the enemy's movement, because like I said, Atlantas are very situational. So if you put yourself in a position where it is like a disadvantage or not advantageous as you want it to be, you're gonna be on the lower end on the Atlanta, and you're gonna feel like that you paid money for the Atlanta, but you're not getting the result as you wanted to with the Atlanta, because when people put money on the table, they want the result right away. And the Atlanta has a huge learning curve. So in order to get the learning curve correct, or learn from the learning curve, you gotta start learning from the situation that the Atlanta will do well, like not running into an island in the beginning of the match, because that is probably bad. So I did forget to tell you or talk to you guys about the consumable, because the consumable on the Atlanta is very unique also. She has unlimited defensive fire, and that is very useful against carriers, which is, like I said, she's a natural enemy against carriers. And at the same time, if there were more carriers in this game, I would definitely run the consumable, the premium consumable, but I didn't. I traded for the radar, which is also useful against destroyer. Like I said, she's a natural predator to destroyers at the same time. But yeah, you get the idea. So it looks like there are destroyers on sea already. Gonna try to figure out how we're gonna execute this take. I am with the Gneiss now. Even the Gneiss now can be faster than me, slightly. Pop that, and I need to figure out my anti-air here. But just keep in mind, Atlantas are very powerful support ships.
Enemy force detected.
So I'm going to stick with the group because I don't want to be the only target to be focused fire. I want them to fire at the Gneiss now and New Orleans alongside with me, because they got to pick between the targets. Hopefully they're not as smart. So I'm assuming that this New Orleans should have radar. It's the question, who's going to use radar first, me or him? But I gotta get a certainty that we are near a target. And here comes some planes. I'm sure you guys are kind of curious how these planes go. And it looks like the destroyers are coming from this direction. My AA is going off.
Torpedoes to port.
And just time to troll the carrier.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on full alert.
Oh no, we're running into our teammate. That's okay. I'm taking the damage for him. I'm preventing him from going to the torpedoes. I'm a good player. I purposely blocked the Gneiss now to save his life and use my anti-air. That is why I did that, guys. So looks like destroyer ran away already. Okay, let's see if we can fire on this. Why do we have AP loaded? AP doesn't work well at 10 kilometers Atlanta due to the shell arc. See if we can start off with a test fire here.
Gun crews are on normal alert.
Don't be cheap on your defensive fire. Just use them when you feel like using it, because it takes a good amount of time for a carrier to resurface their planes. So I'm trying to figure out the exact distance here. Gonna slow down. But because of the island here, it's gonna be very useful. Yeah, I'm not hitting any, but you get the idea how Atlantis plays. It's kind of like a gearing. Oh look, we found somebody. It's a Fubuki. I don't know that Lexington is smart about going into my anti-air. Hopefully we can shoot some planes down. Ooh, Fubuki's out of the game. So we shot down 9 planes already, which is always nice. Looks like the enemy team is a little weak on this side. Gonna head toward the B cap. Looks like there's a lot of action. Don't want to miss out on the party, right? Atlantas are great party crashers when it comes to a destroyer battle. They can really crash the party really hard, like off the grid. Like the Richter scale, Richtometer, what you want to call it, that measures the earthquake. It reads a lot. It'll show the graph of it. Complete obliteration. So we're gonna annoy this Warspite because why not? Now I want to try to get into like 7-kilometer range when firing at destroyers because it's easier to do that. You've seen the shell arcs, the timing. Just gonna give this Lexington a hard time. Just look at the planes getting shredded. He's not having a nice day, is he? Incoming salvo. Here comes Mogami's guns. Salvos coming from Mogami's. Alright, we're gonna get ourselves in a position before we fire. And here comes another set of planes. He just keeps coming. Looks like that Hasaharu might come around this corner. Let's annoy this what do you call it? Gnaz now. Yep. Carry a miss. Dive bombs. Oh, we're getting some damage here. Set the ship on fire. Gotta rotate around. Alright, I'm gonna stop shooting. Try to get concealed so we can get ourselves in the position where I want to be. That Mahan is crazy. Look at him. He's going for that. Like now, the torpedo run. Man, this aircraft carrier is annoying me. He must be really feisty about the way I played in my Atlanta. Let's go for some support. Let's get inside the smoke. Because then the Gnaz can't do anything about it. Oh yeah. Gnaz is down. Yeah, we just shredded a lot of planes. 18 planes? Seriously? Don't worry, Lexington has plenty of planes. Alright, it's time to hunt for some destroyers. Fuso. So we're gonna try to get as close as possible and help our friendly Fubuki.
Support the allied target.
I'm gonna be here for the Fubuki here. He gave me a smoke. I'm gonna give him a lift. Jeez, who else is here? Again with the Lexington. Oh, Fubuki. I mean, not Fubuki, Hasaharu. Oh, you're gonna go against all these American number guns. Your days are numbered. Oh no, let's show what the Americans can do with their Atlantas. Let me show you what the Atlanta's all about, guys. I'm showing broadside. I know he regrets it right now. He totally regrets it. Oh boy. Gotta love the Atlanta when it comes to hunting destroyers. Best ship to deal with destroyers. I can't stress it enough. Even though Fubuki appreciates it. And the team just finally decides to come. Yeah, definitely the carrier has no presence. Can't really do anything. Wow, look at this team. We almost everybody got 1 kill. That's awesome. So we're pretty compact. And here comes another set of dive bombers. I kind of wish I was there to witness this. Maybe when he gets into distance, I'll definitely use it. Oh no, he's getting shredded by the Bismarck and the Gnaz now. So we're gonna head toward let's see where we're gonna go. We're gonna go A, Alpha. Gonna work some Alpha. You can just imagine when I get the concealment expert. Because even though Atlanta is good at concealment for a cruiser, 10 kilometers, if I can get it down to like 8 or 9 or 8, one of those two, then that means a destroyer like 6 kilometer Russian or American destroyer who has 6 kilometer concealment, they only got 3 kilometers to run away from me. So the moment I know I'm spotted, then I know for a fact there's gonna be 3 kilometers of me trying to go full speed ahead and try and spot the destroyer. And if I can't, I can always use radar, which I still haven't used yet because I haven't found a situation when I really need to use it. Maybe earlier I should have used it, but everything was happening with the Gnaz now and the aircraft carriers planes coming in the way. So not a problem. Just gotta shoot down more planes here. See how long it takes to shoot down these planes with the defensive fire on. Oh yeah. Lexington. These are Lexington fighters, okay? Lexington fighters are hard to kill. Jeez, look at that, guys. Look at that. I know I should use it on like torpedo bombers, but the game is about to end. so I don't plan on saving it. Yeah, Lexington is not having a nice day. Alright, the offensive fire is still going off and 7.2 kilometers away from that torpedo bomb. Look at that, guys. Turn broadside to get full effect with your anti-air, for those who didn't know. Yeah, if you're only facing the bow side, only your front anti-air will work.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on normal alert.
– 27 planes shot down. That's, I think Lexington has 73 planes to start with. So, yeah. See, people, it's always nice when people appreciate your support, right? But, you know, when you play games, you don't really get rewarded for that. Like, literally with XP or coins. Hopefully he's directing that comment toward me. But it looks like the enemy carrier is going to go for our Organize now. We're going to close in. Close the distance, show broadside. Let the anti-air work. Come on now, shoot it down. No, we could not save the Organize now. His days were over. Be nice if I shoot that one more plane. Nope, they're out distance. Incoming torpedo bombers. We can always focus fire that. Now you can imagine if I had like manual AA. I might consider. I really do. I'm gonna slow down here. Oh no, we're gonna take one. That's unfortunate. That's alright. Oh, you know what? The Lexington's is at a distance here. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. And the irony is that I think the Lantas were the one who escorted the Lexington also. So we're gonna say hello to Lexington. And Lexingtons have a huge flight deck with Atlanta's guns like these. Yeah, you can imagine the firepower and annoyance that the Atlantas can pull off. The problem is that I'm at max distance, so I won't be able to hit the Lexington as much as I want. But let's see if we can set the Lexington on fire. But I just annoy the crap out of the Lexington. Oh, blast, the game ended. Alright, let's see where we got placed. 345,000 coins, which is why I like to use Atlanta, because you don't have to put that much effort to make that much coins. Probably because it's the first win of the day with the Atlanta. 45,000 damage, that is really good for Atlanta. 159 hits, 30 planes shot down, which is probably 40%. So 30 divided by 72, no, not 72, 30 divided by 73 times by 100, that's how many percent planes I shot down. 2 incapacitations, most likely against those enemy destroyers. 1 ship sunk, 4 fire set, 2 assisting caps. We got placed. Remember, 45,000 damage doesn't sound that well, but we got placed. Please top. We got placed at the top, guys. We did it, guys. We did it, boys. We do it, captains. We got placed at the top. 2,209 base XP. Oh my gosh. With only 45,000 damage and 30 planes shot down. Wow. Just amazing. Love the Atlanta. You don't have to put that much effort. Like, you don't have to try to do the most damage to do well with the ship. You just have to try and just pick the situation. Destroyers over there? Oh, I'll go after destroyers. Escort battleships, since I can't find any destroyers, which I did. Saved the Ignizing out the first time, but the second time I couldn't do it. I should really grab the manual AA. Well, you can do something. See, the Atlanta always has something to do, but it's not that great with damage. Just keep that in mind. That's the only thing. You sacrifice everything else, damage, for the things that you want the Atlanta to do. Secure objectives with your destroyers with the Fubuki. Grab flags and protect your battleships against the aircraft carrier. Scout front line against destroyers, or whatever the case it is. The Atlanta is so versatile. Unfortunately, I was not able to show her capabilities when it comes to close quarter combat. But maybe in the future, I will show you guys. But aside from that, thanks for watching. And I'll see you guys next time on World of Warships.